Welcome to the Diversity Pivot Podcast. I'm your host, Julie Kratz, and this season we will be unpacking real trends, hot topics in the workplace around allyship and inclusion. Our goal is that each week you leave with tangible tools, information, practical strategies that you can take back to allies at your organization. Let's dig in to this week's topic. Lately, I have been hearing from folks that, oh, DEI work isn't for me, or that employee resource group, yeah, they don't want me there. I'm here to tell you that if you've overheard this or ever felt like this, it's not you don't have to be quote unquote diverse to care about diversity. You don't have to be a woman, a person of color, someone with a disability, someone in the LGBTQ plus community. Of course, there's many of us that are allies and want to be allies. But DEI really is meant to be for everyone. So the I in DEI for inclusion, really applies to anyone that considers themselves a leader, either through influence or through position. And so I would argue DEI work is important for anyone's career. Three key things. So if you're dealing with this yourself or know folks that are, one, why is DEI work for you? And for someone that might not consider it to be for them, is relevance. If we want to stay relevant, the world is changing. We live in an increasingly global world. Hybrid work has even extended that much more so in recent years. And so, understanding different cultures, being cognizant of the lived experience of others different from ourselves is part of our natural environment now. Whereas maybe decades ago, we could just know our town, our area, our state, and kind of hunker down in what we know and not focus on what we don't know. And, the human brain doesn't love to encounter things it doesn't understand or know. We fear what we don't know because that used to help us in the old days for survival. But fast forward to today's global workplace, and it's not helpful. Being culturally intelligent and understanding and appreciating folks of different backgrounds and lived experience is critical to our success. Most businesses are doing business internationally, even small businesses, about half report they are. And the other part of relevance is that boards, indices, governments are exerting their influence and showing, putting pressure on majority white male led boards and C suites to increase diversity from representation numbers. So these mandates and requests will keep coming down, even just requests for documentation on what you're doing for DEI. So it's really important that we're proactive because we don't want to be reactive and have to, make a switch or a hire or a statement on the fly. That's not going to feel very intentional. It's going to be a missed opportunity. Customers are holding organizational accountable too and asking for transparency about representation, financial commitments to social good. And another key trend that's impacting relevance is ESG, environmental social governance. DEI actually nests, as we talked about in a previous episode, under the S, the social piece. And investors are making decisions based on ESG scorecard metrics that hold organizations accountable to improve their social impact over time. So you might remember Patty Agonia's founder gave away their company to climate change in late 2022. That's a bold example of staying relevant, but these are the kinds of decisions that, markets are rewarding, customers are rewarding. I know myself, I've been rewarding despite those high prices. Feeling a part of social good is something that helps us stay relevant, especially Gen Z, who we've talked about at length on the podcast. They're going to be, a big chunk of our workforce here in short order, and they're extremely diverse from a representation standpoint and an inclusive mindset from a perception standpoint, too. And they're following ESG work and DEI work closely and making decisions on employment based on that progress. So to stay relevant, to win the hearts of the communities that we hope to serve, think about our actions speak louder than words, and how do we demonstrate a commitment to these issues? So, relevance, first and foremost, let's stay relevant. So, this is why DEI work matters for everyone. Second, it helps us connect with purpose. This is something that has shifted recently. Of course, COVID has really put a big shining light on the importance of human connection and knowing our coworkers and our friends and the people we spend time with more deeply and understanding their lived experiences, their identities. Gone are the days when we kind of just, showed up at work for a paycheck. People are asking more from their workplaces and they want to feel fully seen. They want to feel fully heard. They want to feel a sense of belonging. And so, even if your company makes widgets, and I've worked for those companies before, where the purpose of the work itself is not very purposeful. For those of us in nonprofit work or DEI work, probably your purpose is already dialed in. But if you're making widgets, what a great opportunity to connect your employees, your communities to something sticky through the lens of DEI and allyship and inclusion. You get to be a part of social good. And it's okay if this feels unfamiliar. It feels like a lot. It does to a lot of folks in the majority group. So just reassure people, you're not alone. There is a business case for this work, but there's also a human case. Why does this matter? I love that question. What if people felt more included at our organization, on our team? What would that feel like? What would that look like? What would that be worth to us? Such a great question to ask in an icebreaker or a team building session. Just really good to think about. So DEI is for everyone because it also not only does it help us stay relevant and connect with purpose, it helps us be more innovative. So we know diverse teams are more innovative, and the more they reflect the customers are trying to serve, right? The more we mirror the communities, the customers we hope to serve, the more likely we are to come up with solutions and ideas that are relevant to that consumer base or community. And McKinsey studied this for quite some time and found, if you have ethnically diverse teams, you get a 33% higher success rate in profitability, outperforming your peers. And that's significant. The data has been proven time and time and time again. Better decisions, higher revenue rates, higher profitability rates associated with diverse and inclusive teams, especially at the top of the organization where it tends to not be as diverse. And we know diversity also enhances creativity. It creates that open space for new information, new perspectives, leading to, more robust problem solving. Google actually did a study to determine the common denominator of high performing teams recently. They called it Project Aristotle. And they showed a strong correlation between performance and psychological safety. So when diverse teams not only showed up but felt included, they often surfaced difficult issues, challenged the status quo, which then leads to higher performance and innovation rates. We get new ideas, fresh ideas, things we hadn't thought of before when we have new people participating in the discussion and feel safe doing so, psychologically safe, feel safe surfacing constructive, difficult things, maybe unpopular ideas. You get better solutions when you have that safety. So, if you know a leader that says DEI work's not for me, or they're delegating to somebody else, or not showing up to the employee resource group or DEI programs, you're reminding them it's important to stay relevant, and it's all of us can learn and grow. It helps us deepen relationships with people that we care about, and problem solve, and make better decisions long term. That innovation piece and that business case is very real. That's all for this week, allies. Thanks for showing up. Thank you for listening to the Diversity Pivot podcast. My hope is that you walked away with a tangible tool, insight, or information that you can share with other allies on the journey. If you liked this week's episode, please leave us a review. Your feedback means a tremendous amount to us. We'll be back next week with another hot topic.